Hey guys, it's Mike, the Baldadonis. So, on this video, we're going to stay in the 1980s. And I had an addiction. I had severe issues with this particular addiction. Nothing but trouble. I got arrested many times from it. You know, I had to run away from home because of it. I got in trouble with my parents. I was addicted to cars. Yeah, cars. I had a problem. I had to get behind the wheel of any car possible. I love to drive. Once I got the taste of driving, it was in my blood. All I want to do is drive. 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 What's up? So, in some of my videos, I talk about how I stole my mom's car before I got my license. So now I got my license. And how I got my license? I was 16 and a half years old. I went to driver's ed. I took the course, so I was able to get it 6 months earlier than everybody else. That day happened to be on the verge of a snowstorm. There was about 4 to 5 inches on the ground. And back then, in the Boston area, 1986, 1987, we had the registry police. We had MDC police, state troopers, you know, your sheriff's department, your local police department. But now it's the MDC, that was for parks. You had, you still have the MBTA, Transportation Police. But a couple of the police forces joined together eventually and just stayed with the state police. So the registry was a real thing back then. You had registry police officers. You had the MDC police. Those are now old agencies that are now part of the Mass State Police. So back then, I had I had a registry police officer do my test. And all we did in this snow was I just did a 3-point U-turn and got my license. Simple as that. Drove home, had my license. So even though I got my license, my mom would let me use her car. Whenever, you know. But when she come home, I would still sneak out, steal it, park it in the wrong spot, driving her crazy. Now, at the time, my dad, he worked second shift, so I was brave enough, or foolish enough, to steal my mom's car any chance I got. So, being a car junkie, some of the cars that I bought in this time frame from like 16, I got a car before I even had my license. So between 15 and say 18, I have a couple of cars that I'll tell you that I had. I remember buying this car. Now, when you're a kid, you know, cars back then, let's go back. Let's think about the 1980s, 1985, 1986, mid-80s. Used cars from the 70s, that's what you had. So all my options were factory race cars, muscle cars. I had a 69 Dodge Charger 383 Magnum. I used to drive that with no brakes, leaking oil. I had to put 2 quarts of oil in it. That was a rear main seal issue that, being a kid, I just didn't have the money to do that fix. And eventually I blew the motor. But that car got me in a lot of trouble. I got arrested. I remember one time, it was a bunch of us who were across the street from Dunkin' Donuts in Everett, Mass. On Route 16. A bunch of my friends all had their cars. You know, we were all teenagers. And we all have our cars. And we're sitting in the parking lot doing donuts. That's what we did. That's what we did. We sit there, chill out with all our hot rods. People would come in and out. We'd jump in different people's cars and we'd go for a ride. So this particular night, Right across the street from Baldadonis, there's the police. Here's me in my '69 Dodge Charger that looks like the Generally, but it's all black. All black with the green interior. So it was a badass car. And I'm doing donuts in the parking lot. Oh, smoke everywhere. I just keep burning rubber. Eventually, the cops finally came across the street and arrested me. So that's one time I got arrested. And the sergeant that arrested me, his name was Sergeant Manning. He was a really cool guy to me. After he arrested me, and the reason why he arrested me is not because I was smoking up the tires. I lost my license. So that's why he had to bring me in. After he arrests me, I do all the booking. I'm sitting there in the cell. He goes, "Hey, you want to see a real Dodge Charger?" I'm like, "What?" He takes me out of my cell, brings me downstairs to the indoor parking lot, and he has a '66 Dodge Charger. He's like, "Yours ain't as nice as this one." I was like, "No, it's not." So we had like a bond after that. He would see me, seeing how I was, because at that time, now I'm walking. I didn't have a car. But some of the other cars that would get me in trouble, why I lost my license. For example, I bought a 1970 Dodge Polara. I found it in one of the neighborhoods, walking down the street. For sale sign, $10. $10 for a car that ran. $10. A big, giant Dodge Polara, two-door. It had a 360 two-barrel, I believe. I don't know where I got the plates. I think I stole them from another car, put them on. It had no exhaust, so it was super loud. I'm driving around like this for days, parking the car wherever, stashing it somewhere. And I used to have to jump start it from the engine. So the ignition switch wouldn't turn, so there's a solenoid in the engine. You pop the hood, put the ignition on, take a screwdriver, hit the solenoid, give it a spark, and it started the car. So eventually I got popped with that car, arrested again, you know, no license. I had, for $400, I had a really decent car. Some of these cars I wish I still had today. This one was a '71 Pontiac Grand Prix. It was a stylish car. It had a long nose. It was brown, which wasn't the nicest color. It had some rust in the fender. I'm sorry, it had rust in the front bumper, a small hole, and one of the fenders was crimpled a little bit. And for $400, I was able to get this beauty. But to my surprise, and I didn't know this till afterwards, it had a 400 engine in it, but it came from a GTO, and it happened to be from a special GTO. It had a Ram Air 4 400 engine. Most of you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but it was Pontiac's highest horsepower motor at that time. Stuck in my Grand Prix. So that was like a sleeper. I would just blow people away. That car was crazy fast. I was like hauling ass all over the place. I drop off my friend in the wintertime, and this car had a little issue. The throttle, when you gave it gas, would like to stick there and stay wide open. So you give it gas, it took off. You keep hitting the gas pedal, eventually it will pop off. Or I have to put it in neutral. You see where I'm going with this? So I drop off my friend. I drop my friend off. He's like, "Smoke him up." I'm like, "Okay." I put the car in reverse. I smoke up the tires. In reverse, the throttle gets stuck. I slam into a van. Boom! I'm like, oh shit. The people that own this van, I mean, where am I going? It's wintertime. The snowbanks all over the place. I decide to run. I'm going to run. Meanwhile, the track team comes out of the house. The father, the son, the daughter. I think there was another brother, I'm not sure. They come and tackle me within like a couple of seconds. So I get arrested yet again. So I like to drive without a license, apparently. And I keep buying cars. I don't know if I got that cleared up. I don't think so. So while this is going on, I'm having these issues. In between these cars, I'm still stealing my mom's car. My father finally had enough. Remember in the last video I talked about this? My dad pinned me to the wall. Well, actually pinned me to the door as soon as I came in, and he threatened me. Well, it didn't go well for me, so I left. I ran away. And I quit school. October in the 12th grade. I just started 12th grade, so I quit school. Living with one friend 1 week, living with another friend 1 week. You know, and I worked at Sears in Saugus, Mass. At the time. And I worked in the back room. The back room is where they place an order, and I would run in the stock room. I would run and get the larger items, you know, bring them out on the cart, all that stuff. So that was like the warehouse part of Sears. The thing would pop up in the register and I'd go get it. I would see him sitting out waiting for me. Nah, he was trying to apologize, take me back home, whatever. I wasn't hearing any of that. Finally, I did go home. I was like, well, you quit school, now you have to work. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I went through several jobs. I pumped gas. And gas at the time was around 60 cents a gallon. I worked for a brake company. And at this time, I had a 70, I don't know if I got my license back, because I keep buying these cars. I know I didn't get my license back. So I had a 70 Chevelle SS. A 396 originally came with it, but the motor blew sometime. And it's an X-Drag racing car. So I had tires this big on the back, a roll cage that you could hold on to. I had a small block Chevy motor, 355, and I had the engine sticking out of the hood. So if you see a car with the carburetor sticking out of the hood way up, that's the type of setup I had. I had a full tunnel ram intake, 2 carburetors, 2 air cleaners. So driving down the street, all you saw was this engine sticking out of your hood. It was badass. I would drive around with no hood. But that was the mid-80s. Those were the cars that us car guys had. We had all the hot rods, all the race cars, all cool, obnoxious cars that you can't drive in the rain, you can't drive in the snow, and you have to keep working on them on a daily basis. So I also went and joined the Navy. It almost worked out. I passed the physical and everything. I was in Boston, signed all the paperwork, ready to be in the Navy. He said, oh, we just have one problem. I'm like, what's that? You got to clear up all your motor vehicle violations. Every time I got arrested, I never went to court. So I had warrants all the time. I always had warrants for not having a license, you know? You know, back then, you know, me and my dad weren't getting along. I'd do whatever, and I'd just be running all the time. And, you know, if I had a mentor or a big brother or someone to set me straight back then, maybe things wouldn't happen what's going to happen later on in some of these videos. So that's it. Run away, come back home, do side jobs. Oh, there is so many more stories I have. I still have to talk about Camp Bernadette with the Chevelle. You know, I'm going to be talking about the Ouija board, all kinds of crazy stuff with the Ouija board. So we still have some stuff in the 80s, guys. But I wanted to give you a little taste of how I get arrested from driving unregistered, uninsured. I had a 75 Cadillac that stayed in my parents' yard for like forever. I would just start it up. I never even drove the thing. I paid $75 for it. $75 for it. And before that, my mom had a 71 or a 72 Dodge Polara. That's the reason why I bought the other Polara, because it reminded me of my mom's car. That car just sat there. They didn't get rid of the car. It still was drivable somewhat. I think it was, the frame was all busted or something, so I don't recall, but I remember many a time starting the car up out of my own driveway. It's obvious, you can see the burn, I was smoking up the tires, out of my driveway, up the hill, and around the corner. So the people that are across the street, there was a business across the street, calling the cops on me. I'm in the shower. I told my sister, just tell the cops I'm in the shower if they come. So I was trying to hide from that. So the cops go over, they feel the motor. I get in trouble again. I can't get myself out of this type of trouble. Car issues. I'm a car junkie. So let's get some more stories. I hope you guys are enjoying them. Like, subscribe if you haven't. I don't know. For some reason, YouTube, I see my friends actually try and subscribe on their phones. They do it, but it's not going through. So I don't know what's going on. And for those that have subscribed to me, thank you very much. So like it, share it, subscribe if you haven't. Look forward for the next videos, and I'll see you guys soon. On that note, Baldadonis out.